All right, this time I'm going to show you how to make a program that uses a structure called an if-else statement. So this will allow your robot to make decisions and do different actions based on whether you do something or not. In other words, if you press the button, a certain action will happen. But if you don't press the bump switch, then a different action or nothing will happen. If you press the limit switch, a certain action will happen. Or if you don't press the limit switch, a different action will happen. So this allows your robot to make decisions and do things different based on what is happening to it, what's happening around it as well. All right, so I've already set up my program here. You can see that I've got my bump and limit switch put in. I've got my motors put in. I've already got my while loop put in. You should know how to do all that by this point. If not, you'll have to go back and review previous videos. So the assignment is right here. We're going to write a program using two if-else statements that will run the right motor while the bump switch is held down and run the left motor while the limit switch is held down. This should all be placed inside an infinite while loop. So I've got my infinite while loop, 1 equals 1 here. So my if-else statements are going to have to go inside the while loop. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is go to, you want to go here, control structures, if statements. And I want this one right here, if condition else. So if something happens in here, it will do this part. Else, anything else happens, it will do this part. All right, so what is the condition? Well, the condition I want is the bump switch to be held down. So what you would do for that is there it is, sensor value. It's been a while since I've done this before. So you want to click sensors, variables, and then you want sensor value. All right, so I'm going to take this condition part out. And I want this sensor value to go right there. Okay, so what goes inside the square braces is the name of the sensor. So this is going to be for my bump switch. So I put in my bump switch I called bump 1, if you look up here. You could also put in the DGTL1, either way. So you would put in whatever name you called yours. Okay, and then here between these two, I'm going to put equals 1. So this means if the bump switch equals 1, the robot is going to do whatever is in between these two braces right here. Equals 1 means that the button is being pressed. The bump switch and the limit switch can only have two values, 0 for off and 1 for on. So as long as the bump switch is being pressed, it will equal 1, and the robot will do whatever I put in here. So what was the assignment? I want it to run the right motor when the bump switch is held down. So I'm going to take this part out, and this is where I'm going to put, that's not what I want. I want natural language, and then movement, and start motor goes in here. I want it to run my right motor. Speed doesn't matter. I'm just going to pick a speed. Let's say 75. All right. So what do I want the robot to do if the bump switch is not being pressed? Well, I want the motor to stop. So I would put the stop motor in this part. And you want to make sure that you put the same motor name in here. All right. Now, this will allow the robot to decide, is the bump switch being pressed? Okay, yes, I can see the bump switch is being pressed, which means it equals 1. I will run the motor. If the bump switch is not being pressed, if it is anything else, it will stop the motor. You got to make sure that the two names here are the same. All right, so what you're going to do is this same thing here. This has to go between these two braces. This brace stops this else command. That brace stops the while loop, so it's got to go in between these two. So you just copy and paste it down here, change the name of your sensor, change the name of your motor, and it'll be all set up down here. Do not do another while loop because it can't get out of this while loop. It will continue doing this while loop forever because 1 will always equal 1. All right, whenever you're done, just raise your hand and let me know, and I will be happy to check it for you.